Good morning. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. Got a new intern who's going to be starting with us next week. His name's Charles. I'm still working on a nickname for him. As you know, it's mandatory that we have intern nicknames. We'll work on that ahead of next week, but he's sitting in today, kind of seeing how we do things, learning the ropes. Appreciate the fact that he apparently got here early, Griffin, and he just sort of sat out in the lobby waiting for us to come get him instead of yelling like a maniac. Hey, if you're doing the show, I'm here! Other interns have done in the past. This is a straight shoot. Ryan Schell, who now works at WBAL and has been in radio for over a decade, the first day of his internship, when we were at the old radio station, just wandered right into the studio. Just walked in the front door of the building.
He knows where.
Wandered right into the studio. Drew and I were doing the show together, but we were in separate rooms at the time. And Drew, he wandered into Drew's studio and said, "I'm here for my internship." Drew was in the middle of like a monologue. It's like, what do you want me to do exactly here? Also, this is a great bit. I actually found this picture recently. I used to play a bit on it with all the interns where I would tell them, hey, in radio, it's actually the opposite of business. Like, in normal business, you get casual Friday. Well, we do formal Fridays because we're casual all the time. Like, we're normally casual, so we do formal Fridays. And I pulled it off with a few interns before I gave up on it. And I don't know why, but I recently found the picture of Ryan Schell's first Friday as an intern where he showed up in a
blazer
full,
and
I'm
suit.
not even kidding,
Wow.
a full and complete. Man's now traveling with the Baltimore Ravens every week. Like, he has carved out a decade-plus career in the radio business. And I just found a picture of the first Friday when he truly believed it was formal Friday and showed up, suit and tie, everything. I got to remember to send that to him. Charles, you're fine. I mean, this you can pull this off at any time. You're good. You're good. We got a lot to do on the program today, coming up a little bit later on. Rob Ambrose, we've been waiting to do this for a little while, former Towson football coach. We've been meaning to have him on to talk about his time as he's not going to be back as Towson football coach next season. We'll chat about that with him. Chris Rose of the NFL Network is going to join us. Also, of course, Battlebots on Discovery, which comes back tonight. We'll make our picks for the week when KZ joins us a little bit later on as well. That's all coming up on the program today. Today's show is also brought to you by the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill. Save $100 at ginsugrills.com when you use the code TAILGATE, the perfect ceramic home grill or tailgate for smoking, grilling, baking, and searing all kinds of food. The all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill. Again, ginsugrills.com. Use that code TAILGATE and save $100. Joining us now to start today's show, he will be back on the broadcast for the Baltimore Ravens this weekend. He is the former Super Bowl winning head coach of the Ravens. It's a pleasure, as always, to welcome back Coach Brian Billick to GCR. Coach, it's Glenn. It's good to chat with you. Happy New Year, my friend. Thank you for taking the time for us, as always.
Glad to do it.
Coach, I can only imagine. I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of Zach Taylor and the Cincinnati Bengals this week as they prepare for a football game. What would you describe this week probably to be like? And what would you imagine the job of a head coach being for a team that just went through what they went through on Monday night, even though it's not even their teammate who was on the field?
Well, it was such a unique experience, and they obviously were affected by it more so. I mean, we all were. Anybody that watched it on TV that was aware of it. But for them to physically, to see it actually happen, I don't know that any of us can really relate to that in that circumstance. But just like Sean McDermott, they've got to look at it now, and obviously totally mindful of the fact that the prayers and thoughts are for the young men in the hospital and very conscious of that. But it's time to move on for the job. It's time to move on with your work. It was something that obviously he would probably embrace and be doing now if the circumstances were switched. And that's not easy, but you do it. And obviously monitoring very closely. I know both organizations have health professionals there to help the players during the course of the week. If they want to try to verbalize it or try to sit down with someone and try to understand it, just such a unique circumstance, actually getting back on the field may be in an odd sort of way the best remedy to kind of move past it.
Would you be at all worried if you were in his shoes about where your guys' heads were at going into a football game that, we still think has meaning for them. We're not really fully sure exactly how things are going to play out, but would you be at all worried about that during the course of the week?
Yeah, you do, because you worry about it all the time. You worry about what it is that your players, obviously this is an extreme example, but you worry about where is your players' heads in any number of ways, that things that affect them off the field. These guys are not automatons. They go home. They have families. They have trials and tribulations. They have crises of their own sort during the course of the year. So you're always very mindful of it. And again, just try to be supportive of it. Give them an outlet to talk about it and see if you can help them process it.
Brian, before I get to the Ravens, I'm just wondering, I'm sure you've had to deal with this a lot in your life as you've sort of been around this sport, as the dangers of the sport have been so highlighted over the course of the last couple of decades. We know that what happened on Monday night, was really more of a fluke than anything else. But I'm sure you'll hear from people that know who you are this week and say, you see, this is why I don't let my kids play football. This is why I don't want other, people that I know to be playing football. When you've gotten those comments over the last, couple of decades, what have you said to people about the dangers of the sport of football and maybe why you would, where are you with all of that, I guess?
Well, it's kind of the same response. As you know, I'm part owner in X-Tech Pads, the number one pad in the football. And whenever I'm given all the concussion protocols and all the injuries in the game, when I go out and do a lot of corporate speaking, that's usually a question I get asked by a parent. They know I have grandsons. Do you want them to play football? With all the things that can go wrong and all the difficulties and dangers that are inherent with such a physical and violent sport. And my pat answer is, no, I don't want them to play football. And I don't want them to date. I don't want them to drive. I don't want them to ski. I don't want them to walk across the street because I worry about them. But you've got to let them live life. And if that's where their passion takes them, then you've got to let them do that. And you hope to do it in a way that they're protected and that they're, being coached in the right way. But you can chase down that rabbit hole with just about anything if you choose to do so, in terms of fear and you can pretty much talk yourself out of anything if you choose to do so with regards to any activity that you might engage in. So it's obviously one that someone has to, particularly when you talk about your young people and should they play the game. There are conversations that should be had.
There's no question about it. And I know there's no perfect answer to any of this. And I certainly understand your point that there is danger to just a great number of things in life. There's no doubt about that. Brian Billick is with us here on GCR. Coach, you returned to the Ravens broadcast this Sunday at an interesting time for the Ravens. What is your outside perspective of the situation between the team and Lamar Jackson and just sort of the uncertainty and the way that John Harbaugh's kind of just trying to choose not to talk about it right now? What do you make of all of that?
Well, it's standard operating procedure. Anytime, first, when you're talking about a team that is missing its starting quarterback, that's a lot. And any of the playoff-capable teams or teams that are trying to work to the Super Bowl, if they were in that situation, it would be a difficulty they're having to overcome. And they would say, look, that is what it is. And I'm talking about, say, injury. We're going to next man up and we're going to fight through it and do everything we can to continue on this playoff run, knowing full well that, you take Joe Burrow, you take Josh Allen, you take Aaron Rodgers, you take any quarterback out of the equation of a team that's vying for the playoffs, it's going to change the equation. The fact that it's the contract and all the things go with that's an off-season discussion. Neither team wants to focus on it right now. I don't know that it's a factor. That's for others to speculate on. And again, it's like anything. Well, we're just not going to focus on that. We're going to move on and play the game. As I always used to say, there's a time for pay and there's a time for play. And right now is the time for play. And those other discussions, it's just not a place to be talking about.
what we've seen in recent weeks since the Ravens acquired Roquan Smith. I mean, there have been some that have evoked comparisons to another great inside linebacker in Baltimore. I still think that's a bit blasphemous, but I get it. Roquan Smith has been, for the most part, that good. Can you describe, in what you've seen, and I know you do a lot of film breakdowns of the Ravens, what you've seen that he's brought to this defense? You know how much the numbers have changed since he's arrived. How do you describe the impact that this one player has had on the totality of the Ravens defense?
He's an outstanding football player. Whether he's at the level of a Ray Lewis or not, I reserve judgment on that. That obviously we've got to, that's a tincture of time, and he needs a little bit more resume to make that comparison. But he's outstanding. And in doing the film breakdown that I do for the Ravens on Ravens.com every week, the thing that jumps out at me, I love watching the combination of him and Patrick Queen together, because like any good tandem of inside linebackers, sometimes it looks like they're attached at the hip in the way they move and skate and then pull the trigger. They play very, very well as a tandem. They complement one another very well. So this is one of the best tandems of inside linebackers I think that's in the game right now. And obviously a great pickup for the Ravens. And the injuries along the defensive line, not having Calais Campbell in there last certainly hurt. That's all a factor. I'm anxious if we can get to the playoffs, if Lamar comes back, and if we get these other players back, now to see. I think that's a very formidable Raven team that a lot of people will be very concerned about playing.
I want to ask you about it. It's so funny you bring that up because I wanted to go there. If I could before, what we saw last week against the Steelers, for as well as the defense had been playing in recent weeks, it seemed like they really did get bullied a little bit by the Steelers in the run game, and they were gashing them for 5 yards a carry. Is it as simple as saying that's what happens when Calais Campbell isn't on the field? I don't know. It did seem a little bit eye-opening because, and we'll talk about this, there is a bit of a small margin for error with this team. They've got to play really quality defense in order to have a chance. What did you see in them giving up 5 yards carry against the Steelers?
Well, they based on the first game, and it was noted on the broadcast, the Steelers' approach to this game in the way they just got gashed in the running game, the first game, committed totally from their defensive standpoint to, we're just not going to let you run. Mm-hmm. We'll put 5 defensive linemen in. We're going to place, and as I did my film breakdown, the number of 8 and 9-man fronts they saw was incredible. And still the Ravens ran for over 100 yards. So I think the Ravens ran fairly well given the defensive front that they were facing. Pittsburgh, I think it's just a matter of a team that Pittsburgh has gotten better. They've gotten more physical. They've gotten to more of a rhythm in their running game. And with the young man Pickens, a quarterback, he runs around and makes some plays outside the structure of the offense that I think aids them. So, I think they're just you got to give the Steelers credit for sticking with the run, recognizing this is what we've got to do. And they had a good scheme for it. And I don't think it was necessarily an adequacy of the Ravens defense, other than the fact that obviously they were missing from some frontline players in the interior.
I bring it up because, as you alluded to, I think there is a scenario that we've talked about the last couple of weeks where the way that they've been running the ball, and if they were to get Lamar Jackson back for the postseason, and the way that they play defense, as uneasy as Ravens fans feel at the moment, there is perhaps a path to this team still being very dangerous. That was the eye-opening part about last week was, well, not if they're going to be giving up 5 yards per carry. That's going to be really tough. But do you believe that with Lamar Jackson on the field, even without the wide receivers, even knowing that it's still a pretty small margin for error, this team can be a threat to the top teams in the AFC with how they've run the ball and how they play defense and a healthy Lamar Jackson?
I don't think there's any question. And it's both commentary on the Ravens and how good I think they can be, but the fact of the rest of the league. I don't think when you look at the rest of the league and you look at the playoff field right now, and again, I realize there's some subjectivity to that. Jacksonville and Tennessee, we'll see who's going to fill that 4th spot and exactly how, once the league sorts out what they're going to do with the Bills Bengals game, and then obviously the game this weekend. But if you're looking at the playoff field right now, I think the Ravens can match. Now, it's not easy, don't get me wrong, but you Kansas City and Buffalo and Cincinnati, they're familiar with them all. They're able to stay with them, particularly with Lamar back. And if they've got all the pieces, I think that playoff field is very, very tight. And I don't know that you could, I don't know that bet in any one of those teams absolutely to get to the end. The NFC is kind of the same way. And we've said it all year long. The league is very tightly packed, I think, this year. And I could give you 4 and 5 reasons why all of the top teams in the AFC and NFC, why they're going to go to the Super Bowl or where they're going to fall. So it's a very equitable field right now.
Coach, my last one for you. From our many conversations over the years, I qualify as truly a dumb guy, right? So I'm going to ask you the dumb guy question. John Harbaugh said something at his press conference this week. He was asked about Gus Edwards only having 3 carries, and his response was, Gus should have played more. There's really no excuse for that. And the response that, again, the dumb guys have is, well, aren't you the head coach? Aren't you the one that would step in and say, what are we doing here? Why is Gus not on the field a little bit more? Why wouldn't that be taken care of during the game? Could you maybe explain to us, Rubes, more of who's making these decisions when it comes to rotation, and what is the role of a head coach in making a decision like that?
Well, you're absolutely right in terms of the observation that, yeah, he's got to be integrally involved in those types of scenarios. During the game, it's very difficult because it's not until you get to the post-mortem that you can look at and say, keep in mind the Ravens, unique, because normally it's the other way around. The Steelers had the ball for 35 minutes.
Right.
So all of a sudden, and all of a sudden you can get into a series of 3 and outs, or having to throw the ball a little bit more than you planned on, or get behind the chains, or obviously the clock is winding down on you. That to get everybody their touches by the same token, okay, you're going to take J.K. Dobbins out. I mean, that's a hell of a game. Yeah. Against the Steelers. So it's okay. So you want me to take Dobbins out and put Edwards in? Average 0.7 yards per carry. I love the physicality. So you could chase that game forever. And certainly in post-mortem, you can go and say, okay, maybe in this situation we should have played Gus a little bit more, because I'm sure that J.K. Dobbins package, and how do you access those packages? Trust me, Greg Roman did not go into the game going, I don't think we're going to play today. That wasn't the plan. It sometimes unfolds that way. You just look at the same thing. I love seeing they got Mark Andrews involved more.
Yes.
Receptions. We only had 3, so it's let's get that. We need to have more of that. But then you look at the outside receivers and go, well, how come they're not playing? How come they're not getting more balls? Well, that's because that's the way it falls sometimes. And between Andrews and Likely, and those were going to be the targets that they went to. And clearly the Steelers were going to say, okay, this is what you're going to have to do. So it's I don't know that it's a fair criticism to say, well, shouldn't John Harbaugh know? Yeah, he does know. And in the post-mortem, you look at it and say, yeah, Gus probably should have played more, but here's why it didn't. And let's see what we can do going forward to make sure we don't get into that loop. But during the course of the game, I don't think that's a fair assessment to say, well, gee, aren't you aware of that, and shouldn't you be doing something about it? I'm sure you are during the course of the game as best you can. But the flow of the game is going to dictate that more than anything.
Is it reasonable? I know you at one point served as your own offensive coordinator, but it is reasonable for a coach who isn't an offensive coordinator. This came up in the Cleveland game when the Ravens seemingly abandoned the run in the fourth quarter, despite the fact that it was only a 10-point game. And the question was, why don't you just veto the call yourself? Is that a practical thing for a head coach to do when you only have 40 seconds on a play clock? Is it a practical thing for a coach to hear a call and say, what the hell are we doing? No, run the ball.
No, not during the course of the call. You can't. You can't shackle your coordinator that way. Now, in between series, there can be, hey, tell me what's in here. Tell me what's going on. Why don't we run the ball? And take them through that process. And gee, we put a lot of time on our screens this week. How come I'm not seeing the screen? Or same on the defensive side. we're playing a lot of zone. I thought we were going to pressure more. Why aren't we? And prompting the coordinator to, okay, as best you can in a short period of time, okay, we were going to do this. Why are we not doing that? But you can't. There's no way a head coach, not a good head coach, and John Harbaugh's as good as there is, during the course of a play call, given the time, are going, no, don't run that play.
Mm-hmm.
There are some that do, but most of them aren't employed right now because that's just not the way to operate.
It seems dysfunctional. I understand that. Brian, you brought it up earlier. You want to remind everybody about X-Tech pads?
Yeah, it's been great. 10 years, number one pad in pro football right now. Number one pad in major colleges. And great thing is that we're finding our way into the high schools now, top programs across the country. Because parents are taking an active role in protecting their young people in this great game, and they know that X-Tech pads are the best pads that you can put your players in to protect them in this great game. And it's been great to be a part of it and see where we're going.
He is at Brian Billick, at Coach Billick on Twitter is how you follow him. He'll be on the call on Sunday for the Ravens Radio Network as they take on the Bengals. Coach, always appreciate you. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
That's good.
It's Brian Billick with us here on GCR, of course, the former Super Bowl winning head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, and he will be on. I guess Rod Woodson is running off to his XFL duties as he is going to be a head coach in the XFL, so he is ducking out a little bit early this season. And I don't know what they're going to do for the playoffs, but actually that's not true. I think I do, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it or not because I believe I have some inside information, and I don't want to get anybody in trouble over there.
It's going to be you in the booth?
I don't believe it's going to be. I don't think I'm getting the next call. I don't think it's going to work out that way. It'd be really funny if I did the game for BAL and then ran over to 105.7 to do post-game. It would be unprecedented, I believe, in the history of Baltimore radio.
If that were
the case.
If anyone could do it.
Do you remember the time that I guess Jerry got sick in the morning and they just called Pete Gilbert and were like, hey, dude, congratulations. You got to call the game today. And Pete Gilbert said, I've never done play-by-play before. They were like, well, today's your day. In the middle of COVID was a wild time, obviously, for everybody. We were all kind of figuring it out. And for Pete Gilbert, it was figure out how to call an NFL game. You've got 2 hours to prepare. Good luck. Hey, of course, did a fine job. He's a professional. Appreciate Coach Billick taking the time for us this morning. I keep trying to warn you that offers are going to go away. Sports betting has been legal for over a month now in the state of Maryland, and at some point, these betting companies are just going to pick up, and they're going to move on to a new state where there's new opportunities to get customers. So take advantage of these while you can. Offers like $100 in free bets from Barstool after placing your first $10 bet, or up to $1,500 in risk-free bets from Caesars. Time's limited. To get the best offers from all of the sports books, go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers and sign up today. You want to grab a break, and then we'll try to talk to Rob Ambrose? All right, let's do it that way. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and it's our annual Best Of issue. On the cover, we recognize Orioles catcher Adley Rutschman as our 2022 Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, and he sits down with us to discuss how his arrival in Baltimore was simultaneous with the Birds' turnaround. Also inside, we recognize the top people, performances, and moments of the year throughout the local sports scene. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Looking for some excitement in the new year? Laurel Park has plenty of live horse racing events to spice things up this January. The much-anticipated Winter Meet kicks off on January 1st, plus we've got special MLK Holiday Racing on Monday, January 16th, and the Winter Carnival Stakes on Saturday, January 21st. Winter may be cold, but the racing at Laurel Park is hot. Learn more about upcoming January events by visiting laurelpark.com.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
The weather outside is really unpleasant, so it's time to warm up with some comfort classics this winter at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. Try the Twisted Ribs and Wings combo. It's 2 full pounds of meat, the mac and cheese bites, Mr. Richards meatloaf, the citrus salmon, the winter spinach salad, and for dessert, here's internet radio personality Griffin Bass to tell you about the bourbon butter cake.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Pair it with a blood orange bourbon cider or a devil's backbone cranberry smash. Place your order now at glorydaysgrill.com. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Stan the Fan here, welcoming back one of my favorite sponsors, the Costas Inn. And everybody around Baltimore knows the Costas Inn is a great place to go and grab crabs, steaks, salads, soups, whatever's on your mind to eat in person. But did you know that the Costas Inn has upped their game? They are now one of the premier takeout places in Baltimore. Give them a call now to order your food, 410-477-1975. That's the Costas Inn over 4100 North Point Boulevard.
Tune in to Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday at 11:40 a.m. And if you really have nothing better to do, keep listening to this show too.
Hey, if you missed it earlier in the week, we decided to postpone the final Tyus Bowser show of the season, so it'll be coming up this Tuesday night, January 10th. We will be at Guilford Hall Brewery, 1611 Guilford Avenue in Station North. We hope you will come join us for the Tyus Bowser Show. It's a partnership of Pressbox and Grade 8's Memorabilia. It's brought to you by Maryland Vascular Specialists and the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill. The Tyus Bowser Show, final show of the season this Tuesday night. Come meet Tyus and his special guest and hang out with us at Guilford Hall Brewery. All right, got a minute. Don't know where Rob Ambrose is. If you know, tell him. Say, hey, man, you're supposed to call in. What the hell's going on there? We like Rob, so we'll give him a pass, but I don't know what the story is. Got a minute here. I'm going to cover a couple things quickly. One, again, Lamar Jackson's not on the practice field yesterday. The John Harbaugh reaction to it ends up becoming as significant as him not being on the practice field, right? It ends up becoming what is going on here. And it's tough because the same way that I said it a week ago, I just don't think John Harbaugh is thinking as deeply about it as you guys are. I think we're reacting significantly to it like, well, this is unbelievable. I don't think John Harbaugh's thinking the same way. I just don't think that's how he operates. He was asked about Lamar Jackson and whether he expects him to be able to play. His response, I'm just probably going to leave all that stuff alone. I'm going to focus on the game and just get ready to coach our guys and have our guys get ready to play the game. Now, when you hear that, your response is, what stuff? All we asked you about is whether or not Lamar Jackson is going to play on Sunday. What do you mean I'm going to leave all that stuff alone? We overanalyze it. Again, because in our minds, there is a bigger drama, and that's what John Harbaugh doesn't want to talk about. In our minds, you don't want to talk about the fact that Lamar Jackson's holding out, refusing to play football, which, of course, no one has any evidence of at all. Again, the only actual evidence we have is the story from Mike Preston, which said the Ravens think that it's internally a 4 to 6 week injury, and this still falls within the 4 to 6 week span. That's the only actual evidence we have. Now, a lot of our reaction to it is still based around the idea of the belief at the beginning that it was more like a 1 to 3 week injury. If it was a grade 2 sprain, then our understanding is the time frame was more like 4 to 6 weeks, and this still falls within 4 to 6 weeks. Add to that the unknown that the Ravens face at the moment. It feels like we are moving towards them not completing the Bills-Bengals game from Monday night. There continues to be some promising news related to Damar Hamlin, which is good. We we hope for the best. We continue to hope that it trends in that direction, and there continues to be promising news and reports. And yes, we're all waiting to see like a picture of Damar Hamlin wake up and give a thumbs up and be all right. And I can only imagine the Buffalo Bills feel that way. Apparently, his father spoke to the team, and there was some thought that maybe the Bills wouldn't play this week, but it looks like they're trending towards being ready to play against the Patriots for what still appears to be a meaningful football game, maybe for them, but more so for sure for the Patriots, who still need to win to get into the playoffs. You're in this awkward spot where the NFL looks like, and Mike Florio kind of reported last night, that they were moving towards the most likely answer being that they're just not going to finish the game. Apparently there was a hypothesis put out by Florio earlier in the week that the league could next week start the NFC playoffs and play Bills-Bengals, and then the following weekend start the AFC playoffs, but the NFC moving on to the divisional round. That they would just be staggered, and then you would have the NFC take a bye while the AFC plays the divisional round to get the championship games back together that week before the Super Bowl. I frankly think that's a very good idea. I asked this question on Twitter this morning, which is understanding the game truly means less than the health of Damar Hamlin. But I asked, if the NFL's unwilling to consider moving things around to try to replay that game, what would they have done if Damar Hamlin had died? And I know that's a macabre question to ask, but I think you have to understand what it is that I'm saying. Would they have just simply said, well, we're going to play football games this week? I mean, think about that. I would have liked to have hoped that there would have been more flexibility. Hey, if we need to move things, we'll move things. I'm going to continue to show grace when it comes to all of this because I get it. This really is unprecedented what's going on. I understand that. There is nothing that prepared anybody for this circumstance. I do still think it remains awkward that you're going to say to the Buffalo Bills, yes, you had this horrible thing happen, and also we're going to take away your ability to have home field advantage in the playoffs. Like that, it seems crushingly unfair. Is there another option? I think there is. The NFL might not choose that option. At some point, they got to let the teams know this weekend what it is that they're playing for. Like at some point, they have to declare what's going on one way or the other so that everybody involved knows what's at stake. And getting back to Lamar Jackson, if the Ravens have nothing to play for this weekend, and spare me the, well, they could be the 5 instead of the 6. I'm not going to make decisions. One, hoping on a whim that somehow the Denver Broncos are going to beat the Chargers. And then 2, so that I can just avoid playing the Bengals again and instead play the Jaguars. Trying to get home field, that matters. Trying to get a bye, that matters. You're going to do anything in the playoffs, you're going to have to beat the good teams. So trying to delay that for a week and risking guys getting hurt in the process, my dumb opinion, very dumb, I'm not interested. So my gut is Lamar Jackson wouldn't be playing this week anyway, presuming that they're not going to make up Bills-Bengals and that the AFC North is off the table at this point. All right, joining us now, a man that would definitely concur that I'm just a dumb guy with a dumb opinion. Have always enjoyed my conversations with them. Don't know how I feel about using the word former in front of this title, but he is, of course, now former Towson football coach, Rob Ambrose. And he is back with us now here on GCR. Coach, good morning. Great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, my friend. Before we get into you and everything, just your thoughts as a coach, what you saw on Monday night and the way everything was handled and just the difficulty. Like, can you imagine being in the shoes of Sean McDermott or Zach Taylor this week kind of going through this right now?
Wow, he just opened up with that one, huh?
What do you want me to do? You want me to say, hey, was it fun to get fired? You want me to go there?
Anybody. It's okay. It's okay. I appreciate it.
Yeah, right.
Coming in hot. No, it's a big deal. Like, I think anybody who ever wore a helmet or cared enough to coach a kid I think this has banged us up in a way that none of us ever saw coming. And, I heard a little bit of what you said before I came on about, the league and what they're doing and all that good stuff. And I'm going to tell you right now, there is no right answer.
Of course.
Okay, there is no right answer. And when this is passed, and we've somehow, however it works itself out, have gotten through it, we fans, coaches, ex-players, ex-coach, people who love the game, everybody's going to have an opinion. And God forbid the next time this ever happens, we'll probably do it better. You know what I mean? Like, there's no right way to do this, and we're just going to have to figure it out as we go. It's the hardest thing about any sport ever.
Mm-hmm.
That this is the one. I don't know. You'd be a downhill skier. You could be anything. You'd be a baseball player. Life is dangerous, and to see somebody go down like that, that banged me up pretty good. I'm pretty grateful I'm married to a therapist.
Wow.
Seriously.
Wow, Rob. Wow. You probably deal with this. I just asked Brian Billick about this a second ago. You probably have gotten questions over the last 2 decades as the topic has changed about the danger of football. And we know that what happened on Monday, this was a fluke. Like, we understand this wasn't necessarily a football thing. It's just a thing that happened during a football game. But I'm sure somebody in your life has said, see, Rob, this is why I'm not going to let my kids play football. What do you say when that comes up? When somebody brings that up to you about the dangers of football, as someone who's been in this game for as long as you have and clearly love the game as long as you have, what is your response when that topic comes up?
Well, I usually do my best to stay away from people that say that.
Okay.
Because obviously, considering my entire life being wrapped up in this great game, and what it does for people, that's the antithesis of me. You could say that about anything. That you can die, get hurt, be disabled, doing anything. So therefore, you can say, "See, I told you so." It's a juice worth the squeeze kind of thing. Always, I deep down to the core of who I am, and I learned this to be a truth that I believe this game can do more for the human spirit, both for the people that play it and the people that watch it. And it's not an easy thing to do. It's not for the meek. What is it? The meek may inherit the earth, but they're not getting the football. And that's true. It's not meant for those people. It's not. But for what it's done for us, for me, and for every single kid that I ever had the honor to coach and be around, every other coach that I had a chance to be in the same room with and listen to and learn from, I couldn't even begin to imagine anything that has raised me farther than from where I was in football. Is it dangerous? Hell yeah. And you got to respect that. And it's not easy, but it's the difficulty of the thing that makes it special. And I'm not referring to football. I'm referring to anything.
Mm-hmm.
So you shouldn't shy away from the difficulty of it because it exists. Now, have we gotten better as the years have gone on in the attempt to mitigate risk in a risk magnificent setting? Yeah, we have. We've done a great job, and the medical world's gotten better and everything's gotten better, but life happens. And it's not about what happens; it's how we deal with it. But I would never turn away from this game. It does too much for the human spirit.
I'm gonna be real with you for a second. My wife and I have had this conversation a lot. We got 2 sons; they're 7 and 5. They were gonna come play for you at Towson, so now I don't know what we're gonna do at this point. I have said, and my wife and I have kind of come to the conclusion that we'd be fine with them playing football when they get to high school. We wouldn't do it before then. We're gonna say, if you want to do something else, that's fine. If you want to play flag football, but we're not going to have you play football before high school. What would you, I'm saying to you, do you think that makes sense, or would you say no? If they're going to play football, there's no reason why they shouldn't be playing football now?
Well, I don't know how old they are.
They're 7 and 5.
Oh, that's too young. I mean, some flag football, that's good. Or I would say they should play team sports.
Yes.
Like,
we got them playing soccer. We got them the nice sport where there's never any head injuries, Rob. Like, that's what we got to play in soccer,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
By the way,
go look
up the statistics.
I'm aware. I am aware.
What sport has the most concussions? And it isn't football.
I know.
I know, but it's not sexy to say that. So don't cancel me. No, I think that there are things in the development of youth where football is good. I really do, and I truly believe it. And the ability to get out aggression acceptably, to understand that, there's a good place to do that and a bad place to do that. And I've always found that guys that played football at a younger age had less disciplinary problems in school because they understood there was a time for work and a time for play. And there was a physical backup to that too. I think there's something to be gained in learning how to tackle technically at a young age, learning how to fall, learning how to be in a group of people and fall down and not get hurt when your bodies are more malleable. And this is true. Now, and truth be told, I have great concern, just like everybody else, about CTE, but mine's a little bit different. When your brain stops growing, when you stop growing, the healing process is less. And that's with all your muscles. It's with all your bones, with everything. It's less. You still heal, but you don't heal the same. The greatest concern for CTE, based on what I've read, is for the concussions that happen after the human brain has come to its completion and growth. That you just don't heal like you did when you were younger. Did I get concussions when I was a kid? Yeah. But when I can tell you the injuries I had as a kid and the injuries we all had as children have healed a hell of a lot more than the injuries we have had when we were adults.
I don't.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's not sexy to put that out there.
Well, this also goes back to me being a dumb guy, Rob. Is that I don't know how to push back on anything because I don't know that there is anything to push back on.
No, there's seriously a push. There are people out there that want to see the end of football, and they're going to go about it any single way they can. And using health as the reason is one of the big drum bangers. But I don't think the game's ever going to go away. I think we're going to continue to find a way to make it a little bit safer. The helmets are made by NASA now. I saw. Look at the helmet my father wore when he was in college. It was a piece of plastic with some rubber bands in it. I don't know. This guy's played with leather helmets. You know what I mean? So it's going to keep getting better. I think if there is a parent out there that really, really, really has concerns about their child playing football, don't listen to the mob. Go do just like everything. Be intelligent. There's the internet. Go do your own research. Go find out the doctors that deal with this and what they truly believe are the concerns about concussions and head injury in youth and how it relates to specific sports, not just football. Because truth be told, if I was really worried about concussions in children, I would not be letting them play soccer.
Yeah, you see like you're speaking to me right now, Rob. You feel like you're
just try this. Try this. Take a 10-year-old.
Yep.
Take a 10-year-old chasing a ball.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Full speed. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Take a 10-year-old chasing a ball and another 10-year-old chasing a ball, and the two of them collide. Would you rather, at 10 years old, would you rather them be the ones in helmets or the ones without?
I completely understand what you're saying. I really do. I completely understand what it is that you're saying, and it is it's something that we're going to have to sit down and talk about again.
I guess I just improved your conversation.
We really went an interesting way in the first portion of this conversation. All right, I'm putting you back on the hot seat now. Rob Ambrose is with us. I hear you're looking for work.
I am.
When this happened, I guess let's take a step back. Did you have any idea going into the season, at some point during the season, that your future might have been in question at Towson University?
When you do this job, if you don't consider that as your normal everyday life, you don't do this job.
Can I re-clarify? Had you been told directly that?
Oh God, no.
Okay.
No, but I had been reminded by my previous administrator how many years were left on my contract, in the past. So it's I had not. No, last year I was not informed in any way, shape, or form that I was. It was a discussion. It was asked in a press conference of the first game, and I said, "It's not a concern for me. I just come here to do my job. We're all trying to get better, and we'll figure it out when the season's over."
Did you, at the end of after the final game, did you sort of say, "I bet this is what's going to happen"? What was your reaction at the end of the year? Did you kind of think this might be the way things played out?
Well, my reaction was I was incredibly proud of both the team and the staff.
Okay.
That you go through the grind of what we went through. I don't know, our midseason stretch had to be as nasty as anybody's in the country. And instead of folding up shop, our guys fought back.
Came back in battle.
Both staff and kids.
Yeah.
And, to finish with a winning record, win 4 in a row, win some of those games the way we did against some of the people we did. I've had a chance to play Villanova many years. I can't remember whooping them. Like, they might have been shootouts, but not whoops. Like, wow. So, I'm proud of my guys. But knowing that it's, new AD, end of your contract, it's a realistic possibility. And that is the business. The minute that you take the job, that you're either getting fired, retiring, or taking another job. It's one of those three.
Right.
I'm not old enough to retire. I've turned down a bunch of jobs to stay here. And, eventually that was going to happen. So it's the nature of the beast.
What is the predominant emotion that you've had in the month and a half since that time?
Oh, it's a little bit disappointment. I can say this now. A little bit of disappointment, but not so much in the action itself. This one I didn't see coming. Now I'm a guy who went to school there and coached there for years before I left. Came back and 14 years is a long time. I could say this. The truth be told, the university on the day they let me go wanted me out of my office and my keys. Same day. After 14 years. That was a little frustrating. That was challenging. That was very challenging. And I knew I might lose my email address, and therefore there's 14 years of emails of which I can't access anymore.
By the way, there's a former radio station owner that has about a decade's worth of my emails that I wasn't allowed back to. So you and I are in a similar we're in a similar boat
Didn't
there.
see that one coming.
I'm gonna guess yours might be slightly more important than mine. For what?
Well, there's a lot of personal stuff in there that goes to the kids that we coached and worked with that I plan on being with for the rest of my life. Once they're in the family, they're always in the family. I would say the inboarding and outboarding by our HR people has some improvements that need to happen. There's loss, there's grieving. I told my wife when I met her that I said, you need to understand that this is not what I do for a living. This is who I am. I said, this is who I am. I've figured that out. And to live your life like that is very, very rewarding because of the things you get to do and the people you get to be with and help. However, when this has never happened, 52, I've been doing this for 30 some years, and this has never happened before. When you wrap up your persona in your job, that's a pretty big hole. So it's been a challenging month. It says grieving, but I've been blown away by the correspondence. I'm not a huge fan of social media. I think it has some benefits, but it has some massive detriments. But men, grown men with children, who at one time were, children that I had a chance to coach. More people than I even knew reached out to me in ways that I'm grateful beyond compare. To when you get fired from doing this, you think about maybe I won't do this anymore. Like this, and get all the guys, the families, the kids, the guys who have kids. It is the greatest humbling thing of my life. I really didn't even know what I did. And it just reminded me that this is a calling, and I still got some left in me.
What will your relationship be with Towson? Like, I'll give you a context for Rob. I'll give you this context, right? Famously, I've been close with Ralph Regent for a very long time, right? Man, I respect a great deal. He, like you, he was a Maryland alum, right? A place that he cared about deeply. Yep. He turned down other opportunities to stay there, and then got dismissed as they were winning 10 games the season that he got fired. He came on with me a year later and said, I burned my diploma. Was extraordinarily bitter with the school. We sat down and had lunch a year or two ago. He's back involved with the program. They brought him back. It's taken some time, but time kind of tends to heal all wounds. Where you care deeply about Towson University, I know that. Where is your relationship with the school? And in 10 years, could you see yourself, coming back for, an alumni event, something like that?
Well, I am, but I don't plan on burning my diploma. I'm kind of proud of that.
But for the record,
not to mention,
I know Ralph didn't actually burn his diploma. I know that he was.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, right.
I have great respect for him too. And I was, I was like, man, I think College Park still owes that man a great debt.
No question.
From where he took that program to.
No
I really, they were in a hole, and he's the one that changed it.
Yep.
And I'm not there. I'm not at that spot. 14 years here. The trade-offs. I'm a college football coach. I'm a Division I college football coach who somehow found a way to keep both his children in the same house, in the same town, in the same schools for 14 years. And that doesn't happen. And that was what was important to me. This place, this town that I accidentally ended up going to college here, and I've lived in this town more years than I haven't. It's a part of me, and I love it to death. And I don't think let me tell you, I miss Bateman's. I think that was a bad move, real bad move.
We're in agreement on that, by the way.
Best damn wings in town. I'm not offending anybody. I don't care. I miss those guys. If you ask my wife, she goes, they better not call me and ask me for money. She goes, I got a hard time donating money to the place that just, took away my paycheck. And I can certainly understand that as well. I don't have any animosity to the school or the program, or I'm an alum. Like I preach to these kids that one day they're going to watch the team on the field, and that team on the field is going to represent their diploma.
Right.
And I'm rooting for these guys. If these guys can do what we did in the past, it's just going to make our diplomas worth more money and make the school look better. And that's the only thing the football program really should be doing, is growing young men and shining a spotlight on the institution, all the great things about the town and the school. And I think in the time that we were here, we did that. I think we definitely moved the needle. I also charge the kids that when they're 99 years old and they look back on their life, they got to say yes to two things. Did they make a difference? And then did they leave it better than they found it? And in reference to this place, I believe we did. We had great coaches, great kids, great administrators, support staff, people that were truly, truly invested. And, this mountain of a thing to try to create success at Division I football, we did that. And I couldn't be more proud of it. I'm rooting for the next guy. Seriously, I'm rooting for the next guy, and I'm rooting for those kids on that roster.
It's funny you say that, because we talked. We're just going to spend another couple minutes here with Rob Ambrose. We talked to him, and he said that he had heard from you. And knowing you, I'm not really surprised by that, but I'm not above pettiness. Like, I'm someone that could understand it being difficult to do something like that. Can you tell me about why it is that you're like, nah, you say I'm rooting for the next guy. I know there are a lot of people that probably wouldn't be able to openly admit that.
Well, who you want, when you look in the mirror, who you want to be? Got a hard time rooting against people and a hard time rooting against people who represent the thing of which I've given a large portion of my life to, and a place that means so much to me. My daughter graduated from here a couple weeks ago. And it's I want them to have success. And the guy, the offensive coordinator took my job at UConn after me, is Joe Moorhead, and I said the same thing to him. I'm like, I'm wishing him all the best, and he's had a great career. If there's anything I can do to help, let me know. It's not like they went behind my back and did something horrible to me. They gave me a contract. They paid me well. They gave me a chance for my family to stay in one place and for me to do the thing that I love in a place that I love it. My parents are 58 miles away, and I got a chance to be with them in a way for 14 years that I would have never imagined I could have done as an adult when I was a kid. I'm grateful, truly grateful. The people, the kids, staff, I'm not going to be. Am I happy? I haven't been unemployed since I was 14. So no, I am not happy. Right. And I got issues. Yeah, I got issues. But no. Couldn't be more happy for them. And I'm not going to say I'm their biggest fan. Ed Mullen's the biggest fan, but I'm going to be a fan.
Well, so let's wrap with that. What is next? What do you need some time? Like, hey, I haven't had a chance. Maybe I don't want to do this for a minute. Maybe I don't mind that. Or is this so in your blood that you say I gotta be on a field? That's where I'm supposed to be.
Well, one, it's in my blood. This is all. For me, it's breathing. It's in my blood. And I don't think that can change. However, despite what some of your listeners, or probably most of your listeners, think FCS money is not FBS money. Okay, and everybody doesn't make what Nick Saban makes. As a matter of fact, none of us do.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't like. Would I like to take a year off? Sure, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you like to just take a year off?
To. God, that would be great, wouldn't it? Ah.
Yeah, you're married. Have you met my wife? Like, no. Financially, I still got one in college. I can't afford to take a year off. So, yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go keep doing it. And as I've explained to her since she first got with me, we go where the work is. I've been fortunate enough that I've only had to really move once or twice. And the second time was back home. So we'll see where the next step takes me. I've talked to John Harbaugh a little bit, and God bless those guys and the insanity they're going through right now and beat in the playoffs, but still trying to figure it out. It's tough. And I'm like, I can't believe how they're keeping this together. I'm impressed. And, but it's football, so it's gotta be fun. I told him, I go, look, if it gets bad enough, when the dude in section 38 selling hot dogs gets a cramp or he's out, I'm your guy. I got you covered. I run stadium steps all the time. At university, everybody knows I do it. I'm in shape. Give it up. Let's go.
Hey, man, they might need to make that call before too long. That day might be coming.
Cold weather, warm weather, I got you, guy.
We will look forward to whatever that next step is. Rob, seriously, the respect that I have for you and the job that you did. I have greatly enjoyed all of our conversations. I know there will be more. I think Towson was very lucky to have you for a decade and a half, and it gave us an awful lot of fun. And I'll be frank about it, right? Before you arrived, I didn't have a lot of reason to care about Towson football. And you made people in this area pay attention and have to care and make it part of their weekend and reason to come out and be at the stadium. So I appreciate that a great deal. I have no doubt that there will be success that will come for you. I appreciate you taking the time for us this morning, my friend, and I look forward to whatever's next for you, sir.
So, listen to you, man. You can make that a Christmas card. That was awesome.
Rob,
Thank you.
I mean, I know that you and I have had a lot of fun. This is one of the things I like most is that you have been willing to bust balls with Drew and I over the years, right? Like, you've been willing to do that. But I hope you know, as much as we do that, I do that because of the respect that I have for you. I think you're a hell of a football coach, man. I truly believe that you are a damn good football coach that did a lot of really great things, and I hope that you understand that.
I do. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Hey, brother. It's good to talk to you.
Hey, I'm still alive, so
I know. We're gonna be in touch. I just said
don't
we're gonna
talk about me like I died,
brother. We're gonna be in touch. All right, we are gonna talk. We will see where it ends up, and if you're at McKeesport State, we'll find an excuse to talk about McKeesport State football in the future. All right, we'll figure out a reason to do it. All right, buddy. We'll
Thank you, brother.
Thanks, dude. Rob Ambrose. I like Rob a lot. I really do like Rob a lot. I've always liked Rob a lot, and I think I really do. Everything I just said, I think he's a hell of a football coach, and I think Towson was very fortunate to have someone steward the program. I'll be rooting for Pete Shinnick, and my kids like going to Towson games, and we'll take them over. We'll go to more Towson games in the future. But he set a standard that was remarkable. Really was remarkable during his tenure at Towson University. So. Appreciate Rob Ambrose spending some time with us this morning. We're winding down hour number 1 of the program. Today's show is also brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. Chris Rose is going to join us next. Glenn Clark Radio.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
What's up, everyone? This is Tyus Bowser, and I'm excited to tell you that I'm back for Season 2 of the Tyus Bowser Show in partnership with Pressbox and Great H Memorabilia. Join us on Tuesday nights throughout the season as I'll be heading all over town with my special guests. And of course, our co-hosts, Glenn and Rita. Or is it Rita and Glenn? What is it? I look forward to meeting you guys and talking a little bit about football and a lot about life. And if you happen to miss the show, you can now catch a replay Friday nights on 105.7 The Fan. Get all of your details for the Tyus Bowser Show right now at PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser.
The next Tyus Bowser Show is Tuesday, January 10th at Guilford Hall Brewery, 1611 Guilford Avenue in Station North. It's brought to you by Maryland Vascular Specialists and the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill.
Sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets every Tuesday morning at 11:40. FanDuel Sportsbook GM Leon Twyman and VSiN's Aaron Oster join the guys every week to give you all of the info you need and offer you a few winners. And every other Thursday at 11:40, tune in for Weekend at Bookies as Andrew Stecca and Alloy Sports' Brad Kronthal help make you some money for the weekend. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. Watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline.
The weather outside is really unpleasant, so it's time to warm up with some comfort classics this winter at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. Try the Twisted Ribs and Wings combo. It's 2 full pounds of meat, the mac and cheese bites, Mr. Richards meatloaf, the citrus salmon, the winter spinach salad, and for dessert, here's internet radio personality Griffin Bass to tell you about the bourbon butter cake.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Pair it with a blood orange bourbon cider or a devil's backbone cranberry smash. Place your order now at glorydaysgrill.com. Glory Days Grill. Great food, good sports.
Check out Jeremy Kahn's daily picks at PressBoxOnline.com as he tries to find you daily winners. And speaking of winners, here's a man who once won a media curling contest. And I don't think anything else. He's Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR. The Baltimore County Police Department is now hiring cadets. Salaries start at over $30,000. Entry-level officers and lateral officers both over $60,000. And both entry-level officers and lateral officers are eligible for a $10,000 signing bonus. If you are someone who's considering a new path, and maybe you're someone who wants to, we've used the term a lot, be the change. You want to help in changing the relationship between the community and the police department. The Baltimore County Police Department wants you. Join BaltimoreCountyPD.com is the website for you to find out more, or call 410-887-5542. You must be a United States citizen, have a high school diploma or GED equivalent, and possess a valid driver's license. Into hour number 2 of today's show. We had to do this a little bit earlier on this morning because of his busy schedule, but an opportunity to talk not only some football, but some Battlebots with NFL Network's Chris Rose right here on GCR. Well, coming up tonight, the return of Battlebots on Discovery. Joining us now, a man that you've seen just about everywhere over the course of his career. He is the host, Chris Rose, and he's with us now on GCR. Chris, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's good to chat with you, man. I normally ask, what should we expect this season on a show? But I feel like with Battlebots, it's probably like more of the same because that's exactly what people want, right?
Yeah, I think to a degree you're right. I mean, for people that haven't seen it, it's a pair of 250-pound robots getting inside of a bulletproof glass cube and trying to shred each other over 3 minutes of a fight. I suppose the one thing that is a little bit different this year is that each bot is guaranteed 4 fights in the regular season, which is good, and they know their opponents at the beginning of the season. So it's almost like any other professional sports league, right? You don't get your schedule as you go. You get it before the season. And if you're anything like me, if you're a fan of a particular robot, just like if you're a fan of the Baltimore Orioles or the Baltimore Ravens, when the schedules come out, particularly with the Ravens because the season is more truncated, you look and you say, okay, well, that's an easy win. That's a tough one. That's a coin toss. That's probably a loss, And so that's kind of what you're doing as a Battlebots fan. And so you're saying, boy, if they don't win this first one out of the chute, they got to take on, one of the top 10 bots out there in their next fight. So that's kind of maybe an added new wrinkle for
obviously it starts tonight on Discovery. I feel like, Chris, you know how much the entire sports media landscape has been taken over by betting. Are we yet at a place where I can start betting on Battlebots?
Here's what I would say to you. I would come watch our shows live when we do them. We do the whole season over like a 2-week span. And I would put it in your memory bank of what show you saw,
right.
And then sit around with your friends tonight and say, man, oh, man, I think this one's going to win.
Right. I just have a funny feeling. I have a funny feeling about this, this one.
Exactly. I like the engineering on that robot. I think, their tip speed has really increased this year for their weapon. So that's who I like. And that's the best way. But in answer your question, let's hope in the future.
Yeah, that day might come. Chris Rose is with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. Again, Battlebots back tonight, 8 o'clock on Discovery. Chris, of course, you also know from Jomboy and NFL Network. Chris, I'd be remiss, obviously, having you on. I'm sure you've had to do this all morning. Just your reaction to what happened this week with Damar Hamlin. And, is there any awkwardness for you in, knowing, hey, this is a job and this is what we do? But, is there any amount of uncomfortability that you have, knowing they're going to just keep playing football games this weekend?
Well, I think all of us as fans, I'm a fan first and foremost, and I've been a fan much longer than I've been covering the sport, is that we do have to deal with that, right? How many times a month, unfortunately, do we see a stretcher come out and we're waiting for the thumbs up and things of that nature? Now, obviously, Monday night was an extremely traumatic experience for everybody involved. Whether you are a player that was on the field, a member of the Bills staff, or just simply a fan trying to enjoy what could have been the best and most entertaining game of the year. How do we deal with that? We're not going to stop being football fans, and nor should we. It is a wonderful sport that does come with some inherent risk, and we all understand that. And I don't think there's anything that the league, that the players could have done to prevent what happened Monday.
Sure.
What we can do is learn from it, right? And so there has to be some positives. First and foremost, the most tangible positive is that Damar Hamlin's charity that he started has now raised more than $7 million. Let's not brush that off. No, I would say most people in this country, and even most people who cover football, did not know the name Damar Hamlin prior to Monday night. Would you agree with me?
Of course, yes.
Yeah. Now we know what a great kid he is. We know about his family. We know about his upbringing. And when he gets out of this, he's going to realize, wow, I have maybe impacted the world in ways that I never thought were possible. At the same time, I think that we need to be better fans. And what I mean by that is we do have to have an understanding that these guys are putting their lives and their careers on the line every time they go out to entertain. Do they get paid handsomely? Yes, all of that. But we really have to have a better understanding, which means we have to stop sliding into their DMs when they ruin our fantasy week. We have to stop. I'm a huge Browns fan. It's been soul-crushing at times over 50 years, and I've yelled at the television set. I'm guilty of it. But hopefully at the end of the day, I still understand that these guys are human beings.
Right,
I think if there's any good that can come out of that, hopefully that's it.
I appreciate it. Chris, I know I need to let you go. 20-second answer. Do you think Lamar Jackson is a Baltimore Raven next season?
I do.
Okay.
I do, and I think that we've seen how important he is. We've seen how important he is. That offense has been a mess without him.
There's no question about that. All right, Chris, really appreciate the time this morning, man. Battlebots tonight on Discovery, 8 o'clock. Make sure you check it out. Thank you so much for doing this, man. We'd love to chat again real soon, all right?
You got it, Glenn. My pleasure. Anytime.
Just a couple of minutes there with Chris Rose as he was busy doing his tour for Battlebots, but appreciate him squeezing us in. He still remains optimistic that Lamar Jackson they'll get things worked out with the Ravens. I obviously agree with him wholeheartedly about Lamar Jackson's value being more apparent than ever over the course of the last few weeks. It's always this dumb guy thing. a guy that's not on the field, I wouldn't be paying him. Like, you idiot. Like, it's the exact opposite of that. You're seeing how much more valuable Lamar Jackson is right now. What in the world are you talking about? So Chris Rose and I agree about that particular topic. All right. It's an interesting question from John in Little Rock. Do you have any insight on T.Y. Hilton, if the Ravens were interested in him or if he was interested in the Ravens? He might have been a better option than anything we have at wide receiver in Jackson or Watkins. You may have talked about this, but not sure. I definitely brought up like T.Y. in the same way that who was it that was released this week? Was it Washington, James Washington?
Yeah, James Washington.
I brought up T.Y. Hilton kind of in the same way. Like, you don't have anything. It's not a good option, but you don't have good options. I get that T.Y. Hilton made a really nice catch a couple weeks ago. I don't know what he did this week because I didn't get to watch. Oh, no, I did watch. This was on maybe they played Thursday night. I did watch that game.
So
yeah.
Couple catches.
I don't know, man. What happened on Monday night is all of a sudden made me completely forget. Like, it feels like the Ravens game was 5 weeks ago. I like, it really does. Because it's like the world stopped on Monday night. When we were talking to Brian Billick earlier and I was bringing up the one, I'm like, that game only happened one day before this. And yet it feels like an eternity ago. It's very weird. T.Y. Hilton's done some good things. And in the context of you didn't have anyone, why not? I absolutely would have been in favor. Now, it's the same thing I said about Odell Beckham. If I'm somebody in those shoes and there's a team that plays indoors in warm weather and I don't have to spend my December and January I know the irony of that being it's 60 degrees in Baltimore today. I legitimately thought about leaving my house without even a light jacket. Like, legitimately, this is a straight shoot. I just happened to, our friend Stevie Daniels from Channel 2, I follow her on Twitter. I happened to, when I woke up this morning, because you know me, I don't check the weather. I just figure out whatever the weather was yesterday, and I just sort of go with that. I happened to see her on, like, Twitter pop up, and she was like, it's 60 degrees in Baltimore today. I'm like, I'm wearing shorts, baby. Like, what are we doing? I then thought better of it. Like, I don't know where my day is going to take me. So I decided to bring a light jacket and put on pants anyway. But holy hell. That being said, I think she said that by the weekend it's going to go back to being winter again. So, this is a mere flash in the pan. Point being, I understand why anybody else would say I'd rather be in Dallas than be in Baltimore when I have my choice. I'm going to say the same thing about James Washington. The Ravens want to try to grab James Washington, by all means. Try to grab James Washington. I don't think he's an answer of any sort, but I don't think you have any answers. So why not? Like, it's that bad. You have no wide receivers. Do anything. Go ahead. It's not costing you something. There's no actual, cost of doing something like this. Go for it. But to assume that it's going to make a difference, no. And I felt that way about T.Y. Hilton. Like, I didn't think it was going to make a difference, but sure, you could have tried to go and get T.Y. Hilton. I feel the exact same way. If they had real football players, I wouldn't. But they don't. They don't have any wide receivers. Nothing. Their best wide receiver is a guy who's not good at holding on to the football. Do anything. There's not any name you throw out at me. We've been making the Terrell Owens jokes. And, yes, I know that that's a no, but is it? Are we certain that it's worse? I mean, come on, man. It's that bad. We're in the seventh circle of hell when it comes to the wide receiver position here. The answer is yes to anything that you throw out there. Just keep shuffling the deck chairs, man. Shuffle them and then shuffle them again and then shuffle them again after that. Shuffle all the deck chairs you can find. Today's show is also brought to you by Glory Days Grill. My friend, young Charles here, was telling me that he's a big Glory Days Grill guy. He's a big fan. Griffin and I love some Glory Days Grill, twisted ribs and wings combo, the winter spinach salad, the citrus salmon, the mac and cheese bites, the bourbon butter cake.
Oh, my God, it's so good.
Yes, it is. GloryDaysGrill.com is the website for you to get your order in. No offense to Rob, and I was a big Bateman's guy myself, but I actually prefer the wings at Glory Days Grill. Those smoky thigh wings are everything. Again, GloryDaysGrill.com is the website for you to get your order in now. Joining us now, he is our friend Ken Zalis. He's going to help us make some picks for the week. What's going on, KZ? How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. KZ, of course, avoided punishment last week with a sparkling 4-4 week in picks, which
I was just behind. Did Stecca have the best week?
Andrew Stecca had the best week. And by the way, Andrew Stecca is not dead. He is not.
No, he's not.
Somehow, if he could have another good week, if he could make up about 2 games, it starts to get dicey when you get in the playoffs because there's only so many games, right? This is your last full week to try to get some points. It's not impossible. It's not.
No.
It's not impossible for him to climb out of the 12-game hole the 6-game hole, that he currently finds himself in, as he sits at 63-91. Kyle Ottenheimer, 69-85, is 6 games in front of him. So we just wiped the Bengals-Bills game from the slate last week. That's how we handled it. We just treated it as an 8-game week. If there is some sort of update to that, we will deal with it when it's appropriate. So with that in mind, we get into this week's picks. KZ, do you want to be involved in a side bet this week?
No.
That makes this kind of lame. This makes it kind of lame, if I'm being honest, because now it might just be back down to Griffin. Young Charles, would you like to be involved in our picks?
What is it?
So as I pointed out, apparently our listeners, big Barmageddon fans. I don't know where this has come from.
Barmageddon.
It's not just him in Bel Air, but we got a follow-up from someone else who said, by the way, did you see? If you bring up Armageddon, the answer is always going to be no. Don't ask me if I saw.
I've never seen it.
I don't know.
I did see an ad for it.
Yes, I watch professional wrestling as well, KZ. You know I see ads.
Yeah, I did see an ad for it.
Apparently, the next punishment was a pork and beans popsicle.
Popsicle?
A pork and beans popsicle. It's not hard to figure out. You put pork and beans in a popsicle holder and you freeze them overnight, and then you go for it.
See, I'm not against the punishment. My problem is that these picks this week, it's like playing fantasy football. It's just unfair because we have no idea. We don't even know who's playing.
Ken, we've not been doing very well when we had an idea, sir. Stop.
Yeah, but it makes it even worse.
You're 72-82 for the year, and you're telling me this week is the problem?
I'm in in third place.
You're definitely in third place. You are.
Sure. I'll be in.
Yes. Very good. Charles, would you like to jump in on this? Now, I need you to know that the answer can be no. It's okay for the answer to be. It's very important that you understand that you're allowed to say no. We got 9 games to pick this week.
I'm typically not a bad.
Hang on, you got to talk in the microphone, Charles. If you're gonna.
I'm typically not.
Right into the microphone, literally right on top of it. All right.
Typically, I do really well with picks. So
yes.
I'll be in.
Oh, young Charles is going to join us. So there's 4 of us in for our side bet this week. John Proctor, if you see this and you would like in as well, just let me know whenever you get the opportunity to say I'm in too.
Did I'm sorry because I've been busy today. Did the punishment from last week happen already?
Carson paid it off yesterday. We thought
how was that?
The smell when he brought it in was nearly made me gag.
Okay.
Although honestly, I thought the garlic juice alone, when he was messing around with that back in the kitchen, I could smell it here, and that alone, I actually thought was worse than the smell of the garlic juice and mouthwash combination. But he did what he was supposed to do. It was over quickly. That's the only part about this particular punishment. It was over quite quickly. And then it was just, on with your day. However, he is begged out of participating. Young Carson, after losing multiple times, said, I don't want to do it again this week, and asked out of participating in this week's picks contest. So he's off the table, but Charles is in this week. We got 9 games to pick. Picks are brought to you this week, or just a reminder this week that gambling can be fun, unless of course there's a pork and beans popsicle. Then it's not fun whatsoever. Gambling can be fun, but you should set a limit and stay within it. And remember, if you or loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. All right, 9 games. That's the side bet for this week. We come into this week. I have no idea. The chart is all sorts of goofy. All right, now it's been fixed. We come into this week. I am tied with John Proctor atop the table, 75 and 79. Just a bang-up job. First place for the year, 75 and 79. Ken Zalis is 3 games behind us. Paul Valley is 4 games. Griffin is 5 games. Kyle Ottenheimer, Vice Worm, 6 games back. Andrew Stecca, it's not good, but he's not dead yet. Not dead yet. 12 games behind it. The season-long punishment, of course, at the top of the table playing for a little bit of cash at the bottom of the table. We don't want to have to be the one that's got to come in here, eat a worm burger, dress as the worm Dennis Rodman, perform the legendary Scotty 2 Hottie worm, and then get stink-faced Rikishi style. That is what is at stake. Yeah, Charles, that's what we're doing for the season.
I had to think about that one.
Yeah, not fun. All right, so that's what's going on. We begin. Do you want to begin with the college pick this week?
Yeah, I guess
All right.
I mean, that's what we always do. So, we'll start with the national championship. It's at SoFi Stadium in L.A., in Inglewood. The Horned Frogs taking on the Bulldogs at 7:30 on Monday nights.
Look, I think TCU's an incredible story. I really do. It seems like a national championship game that has a 2-touchdown line. You should just take the dog, right? Like they're in the national championship game. How can they be 2-dog underdogs or 2-touchdown underdogs? But it just feels like the matchup is very unique here. And what I saw TCU do to have success against Michigan, I know that Georgia's defense is not as good as last year's was. I understand that. But what TCU did in getting Dugan out and keeping plays alive in order to get Johnson on the corners and then take advantage of the space, I just don't see them being able to do the same thing against Georgia. I think this game is a blowout. I think Georgia wins handily. I'm taking the Bulldogs and not the underdogs in the title game. KZ.
It's pretty bold. That's pretty bold. What's the line?
12.5.
So I'm with you. I want to take TCU so badly here just because I think they're scrappy and I like that they do have an offense that come back. But I said it last week, and even though I was wrong, I don't care. I'm not going down picking against Georgia.
Well, you're going down picking with Georgia instead, which is not.
Well, but that's fine. But what I'm saying is I'm not going to take TCU just because it's a nice story and things like that. And, I kind of put Georgia up with the Alabama thing. It's like it's dumb to most weeks to ever pick against Alabama. It's probably just as dumb most weeks to pick against Georgia. So I'll take Georgia.
All right, Griffin?
I feel the same way. I think everybody, I think most of the public is on TCU, and I agree with you. I also think that it just doesn't seem like this game should be all that close, and I think Georgia, back-to-back national champions, and they cover. So I'll take the Bulldogs as well.
Charles. I want to make it very clear to everyone involved, because Charles is still a college athlete, technically, I think. He's not betting any cash. Not a dime involved with this.
Any money on this.
Not even remotely. Go ahead.
I haven't seen Stetson Bennett play a bad game on TV. I'm gonna keep going with that.
All right, Georgia.
Yeah,
of course,
he's just
TCU got the advantage of like 3 turnovers last week, and so that I'm with you. I don't know that I don't think I see that coming. It helps to be a 30-year-old playing college football. It does. There's a benefit to that. What about the rest of the boys?
All right, so Ken, Kyle joins myself and Glenn on Georgia. So on TCU is Paul, John, and Andrew Stecca.
Very interesting. It's good news for us. You don't want to be on.
I like that. I like that.
I'm going to teach you something, Charles. When you don't ever want to hear that you made the same pick as Andrew Stecca. It's very bad news. 63 and 91 for the year. It makes us all very unhappy when we find out. Although again, we should have picked every game with Andrew Stecca last week because he went 6-2. Next.
To Saturday afternoon at 4:30 on ESPN and ABC, part of their Saturday doubleheader. The Chiefs are going to Vegas to play the Raiders, and the Chiefs are 9.5-point favorites.
This is awkward, right? Like, this is awkward because the obvious thing is the Chiefs appear now to be in a situation where they win and they get the bye, right? Like, based on our belief that they're not going to make up the Bills-Bengals game. So the Chiefs would have a lot to play for, and the Raiders wouldn't have anything to play for. But the Raiders didn't have anything to play for last week, and they came out to play against the 49ers. And then there's the other thing, which is the Chiefs almost never cover big spreads. So how do you measure all of that? I'm not going to do it this week. I'm taking the Chiefs.
Yeah, what Stidham is the quarterback again.
He looked pretty good.
He looked good, and we've seen this
against a much better defense.
It was, and I just too much to play for. Who knows what the NFL is going to ultimately do? But it does look like this is for the number one seed. I don't like the number, but I'll take the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Chiefs too. I mean, we keep saying that they never cover, but I feel like every time I've picked against them, I just haven't been able to pick Chiefs games right. But this feels like a letdown spot for the Raiders too. Like they played really well last week, and I just don't think Stidham is that good of a quarterback, nor do they have that good of a team. So I'm gonna take the Chiefs to cover as well.
All right, Charles.
I'll take the Chiefs as well. I feel like last week Vegas, it was kind of one of those games. 49ers came in, kind of kicked them out of the bay to begin with. Seen all the 49ers fans in the stadium, and we're like, we'll play a little harder this week. But, like big decisions like changing coaches, changing quarterbacks, that kind of motivation only happens for a week, maybe two.
All right.
So I'll take the Chiefs.
All right.
We
should point out Charles is a football player too, by the way. So he might X's and O's wise know a little bit more than we do.
Maybe I should just be tailing him.
Correct.
The four of us are on the Chiefs. Everybody else on the Raiders. So Stecca, Kyle, John, and Paul.
Look, I get it. The Chiefs don't cover big numbers, except against the Seahawks. It wasn't quite as big, but it's the only bigger number, like more than a touchdown, they've covered. I think all season.
Did they cover against the Jags or no? Or that was the Jags push? No,
I don't remember. All right, move forward.
Also on Saturday, right afterwards at 8:15, Titans taking on the Jags, the AFC South title game, and the Jags are favored by 6.
Are we confirmed that Josh Dobbs is playing?
I believe
do we know?
So. I believe Dobbs is it's Dobbs.
And he actually looked kind of good, but this is way just too much. I feel very strongly about the Jaguars. Give me the Jaguars.
Yeah, you stop Henry, it's over. They just crushed this team last week or a couple weeks ago. The Jags are playing good football. I'll take the Jags.
That's kind of how I was thinking too, but it just feels like a weird spot. I don't think I fully trust the Jags yet. And it's Mike Vrabel as an underdog, and I'm going to take the Titans because getting points, why not?
I get it. It's 6 points we're talking about. Charles?
I think this could be the game. Malik Willis steals Trevor Lawrence's shine, and I'm going to take Mike Vrabel as well in his experience.
Wait, but I thought they were playing Dobbs. I thought that was the deal.
It's not the Titans?
Yeah, I thought the Titans were playing Dobbs on Saturday night.
They're playing Dobbs. They announced Dobbs as a starter.
So he would have to first steal Malik Willis, or first have to steal Josh Dobbs' shine. Then he would have to steal Trevor Lawrence's shine. In order
so then
to
do
pull
I
that off.
take the Jags youth over Mike Vrabel? I don't think I'm going to take that as well, so I'm going to take the Titans.
All right. Charles also on the Titans.
All right, I'm on the Titans, Charles on the Titans, and then Kyle and Andrew Stecco on the Titans. Everybody else
got
is on
bad
the
news.
Jags.
I'm so sorry. Things are going really well for you right up until that moment.
John, Paul, Ken, and Glenn on the Jags.
All right.
Now to this is, in my opinion, the toughest game to pick, at least that I had the toughest time picking. Browns at the Steelers, 1 o'clock on Sunday. The Steelers are 2.5-point favorites.
I don't think this is that difficult. 2.5 points. I know the Browns played well last week. Like, I understand that. But they're also the team that lost at home to the Saints 2 weeks ago. The Steelers, while maybe not overly impressive, are running the ball, stopping the run, which we know the Browns are going to want to do. And while I'm still not overly sold on Kenny Pickett, like, you can't deny that kid has moxie and that has handled himself in big moments. And with it only being 2.5, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's only 2.5. Pittsburgh's playing well. I mean, they got a shot at the playoffs. They have everything to play for. Cleveland's just playing out the string. Looked good last week, but actually looked good against a really bad football team. So, and the Steelers are not a bad football team right now. So, I'll take Pittsburgh.
So the stat I saw was since 1990, teams that are eliminated playing a team that has to win to try to get to the playoffs, they cover at a 60% rate.
I'm going to guess most of them weren't 2.5-point dogs.
Yeah, yeah, but still, it's like the angle, because the angle is that the I think the Browns have played a little bit better, especially at the
last
second
week.
half.
They played better.
Yeah.
They did not play better 2 weeks ago.
Steelers are playing tight, but it's still also, Mike Tomlin is going for that winning season, and yeah, 2.5 is a low number, so I don't feel good about it, but I'm going to take the Steelers as well.
All right, Charles.
Yeah, he just mentioned it. Those players know they're playing for that winning record,
and it seems to matter to them. Like it really weirdly seems.
It's going to matter to them. Yeah,
like it matters.
They respect Tomlin that much, so I think they're going to win big against the Browns.
It is a clean sweep.
Ooh,
all of us on the Steelers.
Everyone on the Steelers.
We have a sheep slaughter here.
How about that? Yeah, it feels like that was a bad decision then on our part.
To the 4 o'clock window, the Giants at the Eagles. Eagles playing for a 1 seed. Giants resting of everybody.
Presumably, they haven't confirmed that, but obviously based on the line, the assumption is that's what they're doing.
And because they can't move from the 6 seed. But yeah, 14 points is the Eagles' favorite. As the Eagles are favored by.
This is very difficult. We're making 2 assumptions. The first assumption is that Jalen Hurts is playing, right? He was limited in practice yesterday, so we're making an assumption there. The second assumption, obviously, being that the Giants aren't playing. Even in those circumstances, like there's this weird bit where if you get comfortably ahead late in the game, you still might choose to kind of rest some guys, and that can screw. 14 points is just such a massive number. It's just so big. But I don't know. I feel like all I'm doing this week is riding with the teams that have a chance. That I feel. Just give me the Eagles.
Hold on. I got to find a coin. Where's the coin?
Yeah, I mean, it's so difficult. It's 14 points that we're talking about. Like,
Philly, because I guess the alternative for the Giants is Tyrod. Is that right?
A lot of teams try to go with like their third quarterback in these circumstances because you don't want to get your backup.
I'm not convinced that Hurts is playing, number one. But who knows? We don't know who's playing. I'll take Philly. I think they're the better football team, so I'll take Philly.
Yeah, I'm going to take Philly too. Yeah, better team. I think they want that 1 seed. So I like the Eagles.
The games in Philly, they kind of got embarrassed losing the Saints last week at home. So I'll take Philly as well.
It's just such a big the number is just so staggering.
It's nuts.
Right? Like it's staggering, this number.
By
the way, they don't have a third quarterback on their roster for what it's worth. So presumably it would have to be Tyrod.
Ken, you said Eagles, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
they do have Davis Webb on the practice squad. I guess they can play Davis Webb.
Big Davis Webb.
Yes, correct.
Proctor and Stecca on the Giants. Those are the only 2.
But you know what? I don't even think that's crazy. It's 14 points that we're talking about. Like, that's nuts. Anything goofy. They could be up by 20 late, and Davis Webb throws a deflected ball. You know what I mean? Like, 14 points is just crazy, man. I get it. Go ahead. By the way, picks are also brought to you this week by PressBoxOnline.com/offers, where there are plenty of great offers available for you for signing up for sports betting, including $200 in free bets from DraftKings after you place your first $5 bet, or $1,000 in risk-free bets from BetMGM. Time is limited. Take advantage of these offers. PressBoxOnline.com/offers.
Staying in the NFC East, the Cowboys at the Commanders, also at 425. This one's on Fox, and the Commanders are 7-point underdogs at home.
Well, they announced this morning that they're playing Sam Howell.
Yes, Sam Howell.
It's just so weird, right? Like, it's a weird spot because there is some world in which that guy thinks this is his only ever opportunity to do something and plays like $1 million, but it's Washington, and Dallas, we believe, is going to have something to play for because it's hard for that. Like, if they look up and, like, at halftime and Philly is up
48-0,
then yes, they might pull all of their guys in the second half. But, and by the way, we all just picked Philly to cover a 14-point spread, so maybe that's relevant here. But that's the only way that they could pull guys in this game is if they know that Philadelphia is comfortably, like, and not just 2 touchdowns ahead, like 5 touchdowns ahead. So with Dallas having something to play for, I think Dallas has to be the pick.
I really wanted to pick Washington here because I think Sam Howell was QB1 coming out. And I know I was in the minority, but I thought he was the best quarterback coming out last year. It's just so hard because of the Dallas thing. Like, do you have something to play for, and how long do your starters play? You're obviously the better team. Washington's in disarray, but then Glenn made the best point. What if this is the one chance? And what if this changes the fact that Washington decides not to take another quarterback next year after they move on from the 1,000 of quarterbacks that they already have? But I'm still going to take Dallas because they have something to play for.
Yeah, pretty simple. I'm taking the Cowboys as well.
I'm going to take the Cowboys as well. I love Ron Rivera, but there is just so much going on with just in the quarterback situation alone.
You don't want to support Major Tuddy?
Oh, yeah, right? That guy.
My God.
That guy won't last as long as the gobbledygooker.
Oh, God.
Poor Major.
Not even as long as the Sean Taylor statue. But
oh, is that still up?
Yeah, that's still up. But that'll get down at the end of the season.
I would like to hope that maybe they think about that again. Maybe they reconsider the possibility of what they're doing there. Jeez.
Quite a marketing program over there.
Yeah, they do run things quite well. What about everybody else?
It's clean sweep. Everybody is on Dallas.
Understandable.
Yeah. Oh, good. This is fun this week.
Yeah, it's a weird week. I think, by the way, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
Charles and I picked every game the exact same way so far.
I'm pretty sure you and I did too.
Oh boy. Well,
so far.
We could all be enjoying a delicious pork and beans popsicle next week.
Chargers at the Broncos. The Broncos are 2.5-point underdogs at home. The Chargers, I guess, they win and they get the 5 seed.
Why is it only 2.5? Is the thing that stands out? Like I get okay. The first thing is that obviously Denver played better last week against Kansas City, so that's the first thing that stands out. 2.5. You have to take the Chargers. Like I guess the only thing I always come back to this is there's some world where the Chargers don't really care about the 5 seed and they're prioritizing health for the playoffs over avoiding the Bengals. And I talked about this yesterday. If I were a coach, the 5 versus the 6, as much as everybody else is talking about the difference between the top 3 teams and facing one, if it's Jacksonville, I think I am buying into Jacksonville. Like, I think that's a tough game. I think assuming it's just definitely a better option, I get it, the comparison you're making, but I think that's tough too. The step beyond that being, if you're going to do anything in the playoffs, you have to beat the good teams at some point. I would value, personally, keeping my players healthy and not risking injury over which team I'm traveling on the road to face in week 1. That's me. So I guess there is some thought that maybe Brandon Staley feels the same way, right? That he wakes up on Sunday morning and says, guys, we just don't care about the 5 seed the way that you guys care about the 5 seed. We care about making sure that Justin Herbert, who I'm not sure if you've heard, his ribs are jello. We care more about him being healthy to play in the playoffs than we care about this. But until we know that, I feel like you have to pick the Chargers. So, Chargers.
Yeah, I tend to think that they. What's the spread?
2.5 points for Chargers are favored by 2.5 points.
Yeah, so it's I'll take the Chargers. I think if it was 3.5, I may have gone the other way here because I just don't think that they care too much about what seed they are, and they play a half. So, but I'll stick with the Chargers because it's only 2.5.
This one was also kind of weird for me, at least, because I think it kind of feeds into that. Broncos are eliminated, but the Chargers have kind of something to play for.
But I actually think,
I also think
that Charles's point earlier about like the thing that you get from firing a coach tends to last for like a week, and they got that last week. They got whatever bump they were going to get. I mean, the idea that Jerry Rosberg is so brilliant that he's going to have them, you know what I mean? Like,
the scenarios, I guess, are so they see the result of the Ravens game. The Ravens lose, so they're locked into the 5 seed. Maybe they rest guys.
Oh, I didn't even think about
and
that
then,
part of it.
Or the Ravens win, and then there's a lot of pressure on them, and they're like, oh, God, we do not want to go to Buffalo or Cincy.
The part where they're not I think that first part is really relevant because I think most of us are going to pick against the Ravens. And so the part where they already have the 5 seed before the game kicks off, that is even more relevant in the scenario where they don't care about it.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't think about that at all.
So,
Crap.
but it's coming down to because I look at it kind of similar to that Cleveland line, and I trust the Steelers a lot more in January than I do the Chargers. So I'm taking the Broncos.
I hear
taking
you.
the Broncos.
I hear you. That second part of it that you just brought up is very relevant to me. Like, it's extraordinarily relevant. The idea that the Ravens lose, and then they're just like, what are we doing? We don't need to play our guys at all. Yes, Charles?
I'm along the same thought process as Griffin over here.
Damn it.
Yeah, I
really should have thought this through.
Who would
a
I
little
trust
bit more?
The Pittsburgh or the Chargers? I would trust Pittsburgh more. And is Russ bound to not have at least one good game this year? I think this might be the game where he throws 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
6, 7, maybe.
I don't
He
know.
hasn't done it yet this year. I mean,
I hear
is
ya.
he like that washed, that over? He might
It's
have
looked
one
like
good
it.
game.
Jerry Rosberg knows what to do.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah.
All
All
right.
right.
Broncos. So me and Charles on the Broncos. Everybody else is on the Chargers.
I'm actually going to tip my cap to you. After thinking this through a little bit more and knowing how I'm giving away how I'm going to pick for the Ravens game, like, I think you're onto something, man. Yes. I think you're onto something.
Sunday Night Football, the Lions and Packers, we don't know if they're going to be playing for something, or I guess the Lions could be eliminated by now, or could they both? If the Seahawks win.
No, it doesn't. The Seahawks are relevant. The Packers win and they're in.
Okay.
Like, it's weird because the Seahawks currently hold the 7th spot if you look at the playoffs, but it's the Packers who control their destiny. That's the reason why this is the Sunday night game. The Packers win and they're in. The Lions would need the Seahawks to lose in order for them to get in.
Okay.
Yes.
Line is Packers favorite by 4.5. It's at Lambeau Sunday Night Football.
I mean, I keep talking about how inevitable they are, Packers. I mean, I don't even think they're that good. I really don't. I'm not been, like, blown away by them. There's been a lot of fluky things. Miami decides they want to let Tua Tagovailoa die on a football field. Last week, it's a kick return, an interception return for a touchdown, and all of a sudden, the game's out of hand and Kirk Cousins is doing dumb things. They're not even, like, it's not vintage Packers by any stretch of the imagination. They're just so goddamn inevitable at this point. They're Thanos Packers. And it's inevitable they're going to lose to the 49ers in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Packers here. I mean, Detroit's been a really nice story, and I kind of wish this game was reversed and it was in Detroit. It would be more interesting to me.
Yes.
But night game in Lambeau, Goff has played so-so on the road. He's been lights out at home. So I'll just stick with the Packers. I agree with Glenn. It just seems like they're just destined to do this at this point.
I'm in agreement as well. Packers,
Charles?
Hate to say it as a Vikings fan.
Why are you a Vikings fan?
I'm from Minnesota.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
How about that?
But yeah, final drive, Mason Crosby, game-winning field goal. They win by 3. So
Well,
does that mean?
That would mean that the Lions.
minus
Yeah, if
4.5.
you're picking them to win by 3,
So,
then you're
yeah.
picking the Lions.
All right.
So I'll pick the Lions, but it's sadly going to be a Packers.
All right, that's interesting. Picking the Lions.
Charles on the Lions. On the Lions as well as John, Kyle, and Andrew Stetka.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what might I do in this game? I don't know.
Bengals at Ravens. Bengals favored by 7.
It's the only.
I said Bengals at Ravens. It's Ravens at
Ravens at Bengals. This is the only part that's interesting is the 7-point part, just because if the Ravens, for whatever reason, try, like, they're not a team that has been losing significantly. I just don't see them trying all that much in this one. I know we talk about the 5 seed, but I think of all teams, the Ravens are the team that's got to look around and be like, dude, no, what are we doing? Putting Calais Campbell back out on the field this week for what? For what?
Maybe for special teams plays, block a field goal.
Even if they win, they imagine going to the effort of trying to win and then having to, like, face Cincinnati again the next week anyway. I don't see it. Because I don't think the Ravens are going to try Bengals.
I think the Ravens are going to try, and I'll still take the Bengals.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, let me be fair. I think the players that play are going to try. I'm saying.
I know what you're reading.
There's a limit to what the Ravens can do as far as sitting players is concerned. They can't sit their quarterback; he's not available, right? Like,
but I would feel better. I would feel better about them, honestly, if they announced today that Anthony Brown was starting. I know it won't make a hill of beans difference.
Yeah.
But I've seen enough
You're
of,
just so down on
of
Tyler
Huntley.
I get it. But again,
I'm just seeing if he can't. I love the kid, but there are reasons guys are undrafted free agents, and yes, sometimes they turn into superstars and things like that. The kid can't throw downfield. I'm sorry. It's just not that there's anybody to throw to downfield, but anything that's more than 15 yards, it just flutters.
I'm with you. You do realize though that like Anthony Brown was also an undrafted quarter.
I understand. So give me the guy that has the stronger arm. That's all I'm saying. I just
all right.
I don't know.
By the way, I would
feel better about it.
If they're at all worried about Lamar Jackson's availability for the playoffs, it wouldn't surprise me if they play Anthony Brown on Sunday. But not because they want him to win the job, because they have seemed convinced that Tyler Huntley is still the better option of the two.
You think it would create some controversy if, like, I think this is going to look like that game from last year in December, where I think the Ravens are going to blow out as well. But what if they score like 17 points, which is the most that they would have scored in the last
right, with Anthony Brown. And
I know. Yeah. It depends when they score them.
Right. I'm thinking that. I think this is the first game all year I've gone against the Ravens and Bengals. Yeah.
Charles?
Bengals as well. Like you guys talked about, Ravens, they kind of are settled in their seed. Bengals still have a little bit to play for, given that they did have a game taken away from them, given the circumstances. So I think they'll come out just a little more fired up.
Only two people willing to take the Ravens, Paul and John Proctor.
I mean, it's 7 points.
Yeah.
Like, it is 7 points. That's the thing you got to keep coming back to. It's 7 points, and all sorts of goofy things can happen when the number is that big. All right, very good. Ken Zalis, appreciate you, sir. Would you be able to join us in studio next Thursday if you're a loser?
What's next Thursday? Hold on, let me look.
Next Thursday would be the 12th. Would be the date for that.
No, I know. I gotta look to see. You know, I have a real job.
Do you?
Yeah,
though?
I can probably.
But do you?
I can probably. I kind of do.
Right.
Especially the month of January.
I didn't know January is particularly significant. I didn't realize.
You know, you come back from break, and you know it's probably the busiest month of a high school season. Yeah, I can probably make that work.
Very good. Appreciate you, buddy. We'll talk to you then. All right.
Okay, take care, guys.
It's Ken Zalis. He joins us for Picks every week. Picks were also brought to you today by, how about this one, by the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill, the perfect ceramic home grill or tailgate for smoking, grilling, searing, baking, all kinds of food. GinsuGrills.com. Use the code TAILGATE. Save $100 when you do. All right, we got Tidbit, Tubular, and Weekend at Bookies all coming up as we continue along a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at over $60,000 and over $64,000 for lateral officers, with $10,000 signing bonuses available. Plus, cadets start at over $32,000. Great benefits are available like medical, dental, and vision insurance, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days per calendar year with no limit, career advancement to more than 20 specialized units, and more, with further incentives for military service members and veterans. A passion for service, a career for life with the Baltimore County Police Department. Find out more at joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. Must be a United States citizen, have a valid driver's license, and a high school diploma or GED equivalent.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
It's the perfect time to sign the young basketball fan in your life up for a membership in the Retriever Kids Club. It includes free youth admission to all regular season UMBC home games, plus a t-shirt and a drawstring backpack. Membership is only $35. It makes a great gift. Visit UMBCRetrievers.com/Kids Club for more info. Membership is available for kids 12 and under in the Retriever Kids Club. Again, UMBCRetrievers.com/Kids Club.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and it's our annual Best Of issue. On the cover, we recognize Orioles catcher Adley Rutschman as our 2022 Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, and he sits down with us to discuss how his arrival in Baltimore was simultaneous with the Birds' turnaround. Also inside, we recognize the top people, performances, and moments of the year throughout the local sports scene. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Experience the best in Kamado Grilling, a complete outdoor cooking appliance. The Ginsu Kamado Grill allows anyone to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all types of food. Designed for efficiency and function, the Ginsu Kamado Grill upholds the enduring legacy of the iconic Ginsu brand. The Ginsu Kamado Grill is perfect to cook all year round, is great for parties, and ideal for tailgating with your friends. Reserve your Ginsu Kamado Grill today at ginsugrills.com and get $100 off on your pre-order when you use the promo code TAILGATE. That's ginsugrills.com. Reserve yours today.
Join Glenn at halftime of every Ravens game for the Project Game Day halftime show at facebook.com/PressBoxSports. We apologize in advance. There's not much we can do about his face.
This was an update that the Buffalo Bills sent out this morning, and I meant to share it earlier. I apologize. Per the physicians caring for Damar Hamlin at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center, Damar has shown remarkable improvement over the past 24 hours. While still critically ill, he has demonstrated that he appears to be neurologically intact. His lungs continue to heal, and he is making steady progress. We are grateful for the love and support we have received. I think there was still some nervousness 24 hours ago about whether or not the Bills would even be up for playing a football game this weekend, as they're scheduled to play the Patriots. And I think the amount of good news that's come in on Damar Hamlin has gone a long way for them to be willing to get back out on the field. It's still for example, that's a significant game this weekend, right? Like the Patriots, it's a win and they're in. The Bills, who knows? I mean, like I don't know what it means for the Bills at this point. But it's still relevant. It's still a relevant football game. Griffin and I decided we weren't going to include it in picks this weekend just because it's so impossibly unfair to talk about where the Bills are emotionally going into a game like that we just said we don't even want to have that conversation. We're going to leave it out altogether when it comes to picks. So, but obviously, good news, and you hope for continued good news with Damar Hamlin. All right. Hey, if you have not picked up the print issue of Press Box, don't know what it is that you're waiting for, on the cover is Adley Rutschman, our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year. It is our annual Best Of issue. It's available right now for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find it. Read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. I've been meaning to, one of the things I wanted to do was to take every day and kind of highlight one of the various Best Ofs in there. How about this one? Best Perseverance. Do you remember this story from last summer? Former Maryland third baseman Jose Cuas was working for FedEx in 2018. In May 2022, he was making his major league debut with the Kansas City Royals as a pitcher. You know, that old story. Jose Cuas converted to a sidearm delivery as he trained while also delivering packages and was eventually signed by the Royals in 2021. He finished the season 4-2 with a 3.58 ERA in 47 appearances. That's the type of thing. A lot of these things you'll remember and just want to celebrate. Some of these things you've forgotten during the course of the 12 months. That's the idea of the Best of 2022 issue, which is available right now. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit brought to you by UMBC basketball. Tonight, UMBC back in action at Chesapeake Employers Insurance Arena. Check out the Retrievers as they take on Albany, 7 o'clock. Get your tickets at UMBCRetrievers.com. Experience game day at the Peak, and then the women are at home Saturday night against Bryant. Again, you can get your tickets, UMBCRetrievers.com. What you got?
This one's a little bit old, but on Monday Night Football 2 weeks ago, Austin Eckler had 2 rushing touchdowns, and he joined one other player as the only players in NFL history to have consecutive seasons of 10 rushing touchdowns and 5 receiving touchdowns. And he also is now on a list of...
This is, by the way, this is a bigger deal.
Okay.
I did not see this. Thank you, Brian Powell. Apparently, CNN reported this morning Damar Hamlin's agent, Rob Butler, told CNN that the injured Buffalo Bills player is awake and has been holding hands with family in the hospital. Wow. That is...
Yeah.
I don't know. That one kind of hit me, man. Like, That hit me. Wow, that is a big deal. All right, sorry, I apologize.
No, you're good. You're good. But he does also join a list of running backs that have a list of 18 running backs that have scored 10 rushing touchdowns and 5 receiving touchdowns in a season. So obviously that's a long list. I guess can you name the 10 most recent to do it?
Say the numbers one more time.
10 rushing touchdowns and 5 receiving touchdowns in a season. Eckler just did it back to back.
The 10 most recent to have done that.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of how far we go back. Do we go back as far as Marshall Faulk, for example?
Yes, we do, and he is also the only other one to do it in consecutive seasons in 2000 and 2001.
That's always my stock answer whenever it's rushing and receiving. It's always going to start with Marshall Faulk. Chris Johnson.
Not Chris Johnson.
You can go ahead, Charles. You're allowed to, absolutely.
Curtis Martin.
Not Curtis Martin.
Is that because of time or because he didn't do it?
Because he didn't do it. Did not do it.
Okay. Kamara.
Yes, Alvin Kamara did it in 2020.
McCaffrey.
Not Christian McCaffrey. He is not on this list.
Only other one I can think of is Tomlinson.
Not LT. No.
Really?
No.
That's also surprising.
Thinking running backs with 10 rushing touchdowns and 5 receiving touchdowns.
I know what we're trying to think.
I'm trying to fill some air here for you. What you think?
Maurice Jones-Drew.
Not MJD.
Ray Rice.
Not Ray Rice. There is a Raven though.
There is a Raven. There's a Raven.
Very recent.
Oh, McGahee.
Not Will.
Justin
McGahee.
Forsett.
Not Justin Forsett. Even more recent.
Oh wow.
With 5. There's a Raven more recent.
Oh, Le'Veon Bell.
Not Le'Veon Bell.
We didn't do it with the Ravens for sure.
He is not on. Le'Veon Bell's not on the list.
There's a Raven more recent than Justin Forsett that had 5 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, very surprising. Give you the year. Okay.
Mark Ingram?
Mark Ingram did it.
I don't
in
remember that at
2019.
all.
He had a great season.
I know he did, but I just don't remember him having 5 receiving touchdowns. Jeez. Jamal Charles.
Yes, Jamal Charles, 2013.
Matt Forte.
Not Forte.
Arian Foster.
Not Foster.
All right, you're gonna have to start pointing us in directions.
All right,
because
this guy did it in 2017 with a West Coast team.
With a West Coast team. 2017 with a West Coast team.
And now he is now out of the league.
Now out of the. Oh, Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley. Yes.
I didn't know that. I mean, I. Sure.
With the Rams.
Okay.
Let's see. Then we had one in 2003, one in 2000, the same year that Marshall Faulk did it.
Sure. Just no problem. Corey Dillon.
Not Corey Dillon.
2000. Edgerrin James.
Edgerrin James with the Colts in 2000, and then I'll just get the guy in 2003, and then we can, and I'll give you the rest.
Sure. Oh, it's just easy then. You got it. Clinton Portis.
Not Clinton Portis. He was with the Packers.
Amon Green.
Amon Green. Yes. Amon Green did this, and then also.
What was the year for the other one?
That was Amon. He was the last one I was gonna ask.
Oh, well, you said I
was cutting off because they're a little
fine.
tough.
All right, go ahead.
In '89 was Dalton Hilliard, Marcus Allen in 1984.
Well, okay, Marcus Allen's pretty famous. Probably could have gotten there eventually.
Wendell Taylor in 1981.
Nope.
O.J. Simpson in 1975, along with Chuck Foreman, Gale Sayers, Abner Haynes, and Jim Brown.
This is more than 10.
Oh, I'm giving you the whole full list.
Oh, for God's sakes.
And Jim Brown was the first one.
I'm not even kidding about this. They announced the Hall of Fame finalists last night, and there was somebody on the list that I did not know at all. And it's not fair. I knew him, but I couldn't. I was like, Hall of Fame. Albert Lewis. Albert Lewis, former Chiefs and Raiders cornerback, is a finalist for Hall of Fame induction, and I have never seen Albert Lewis's name in the conversation of the Hall of Fame. Ever. I'm so befuddled by the inclusion of Albert Lewis on this list.
And recent, too.
What do you mean?
Pretty recent, 80s, 90s. I was thinking it was going to be
I've heard Albert Lewis's name before.
That they had to bring back into the ballot.
No, this is on the same group as everybody else. This isn't like a committee thing where they try to get somebody on. He is on the same list as Jared Allen, Willie Anderson, Rondé Barber, and Dwight Freeney, and Devin Hester, Torrey Holt, Andre Johnson, Darrell Revis, Joe Thomas, Zach Thomas, DeMarcus Ware, Reggie Wayne, Patrick Willis, and Darren Woodson. Albert Lewis is a finalist for the Hall of Fame. Sure. No offense.
Good luck.
I'm sure he's more deserving than Anquan Bolden and Steve Smith. I'm sure, and Fred Taylor, who also didn't make the finalists. I'm sure that's the case. Very weird bit. Tubular is brought to you today by the Stan the Fan Variety Hour, which will return. That is a promise. Stan's been dealing with some family stuff this week. Had someone in his family pass away. We're thinking about Stan. He will be back with us tomorrow morning, by the way, here on GCR. But Stan will be back with his normal shows. I believe next week is when that will start again. Here's what's coming up tonight, totally tubular-wise. Maryland basketball travels to Rutgers, take on Cam Spencer and the red-hot Scarlet Knights, who just knocked off Purdue. So, great. Exactly what Maryland needs right after getting their asses handed to them by Michigan on Sunday. Big Ten Network tonight at 6:30 for that one. CBS Sports Network. Towson's on TV tonight as they host Drexel at 7 o'clock. ESPN Plus, Army's at Loyola at 7. Albany, UMBC, we were just talking about that at 7. Big Ten Hoops tonight on FS1, Purdue, Ohio State at 7, Indiana, Iowa at 9. Everything else college basketball-wise, go to GlennClarkRadio.com. ESPN's got Capitals Blue Jackets at 7, TNT Celtics Mavs at 7:30, Clippers Nuggets at 10. The golf season gets underway today because, sure, why not? The PGA Tournament of Champions, round 1 at 6 o'clock on the Golf Channel from Hawaii. Non-sports-wise.
Of course, Season 8 premieres of Battlebots on Discovery.
That's right, starring Chris Rose.
Michael Cera is going to be on Celebrity Jeopardy on ABC.
You were not going to include that if Chris Rose wasn't on the show today, were you?
Well, I guess it wouldn't have been a highlight.
Okay.
Because there's not a whole lot of highlights, actually, tonight. Let's see. Jordan Peele will be on Seth Meyers. Laura Dern's going to be on Jimmy Kimmel.
I do love Laura Dern. I'm not going to lie. I love Laura Dern.
And there's
Didn't she, briefly date Baron Davis or something like that? Like, something very random.
Did she?
Wasn't she dating a basketball player at one point? And it was just utterly and completely random. I would like for you to get the bottom of that. It's very important to me. I can't wrap up the show without knowing the information about that. I swear to God. Maybe there was just a picture of them kissing or something like that. Like
Laura Dern's dating history.
Just
.com.
What do you find? Charles, what do you got?
I found Baron.
Is it Baron Davis? Was I right about that?
Wow.
Laura Dern and Baron Davis. And it's the most random thing that the internet had ever seen.
She attended UCLA when she was younger.
But I would assume she's a little bit older than
And
Baron
he was
Davis.
third overall pick in the 99 draft.
Well, right.
Guard played his college hoops at UCLA. Coincidentally, Dern also briefly attended
But would they have been there at the same time? I guess Baron Davis is older than I thought he was, but not... I still think Baron Davis is 43. This is important. I'm sorry, Andrew Stecca.
This was a couple years ago. Okay.
Yeah, I'm aware. Laura Dern is 55. So, yes, they're 12 years apart. So, they definitely wouldn't have been at UCLA together.
Yeah, they're both in their 40s.
I have no problem with the fact that they are dating. It's just there's no logical reason why there was a connection between Baron Davis and Laura Dern. Good for both of them.
She's a big booster.
Is that it's just her relationship with UCLA? That's what made it happen? I don't know. Very weird. But I support it for the record. Anything else? Can we wrap up? It's 12 o'clock.
Yeah,
we got to go.
The
We got
rest
a
up
betting
at
show to do.
GCR.com.
Very good. Don't forget PressBoxOnline.com/offers for all of the best offers for signing up for sports betting in the state of Maryland. Thanks today to Brian Billick. Thanks to Rob Ambrose. Thanks to Chris Rose and to Ken Zalis. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the
Oh, my God. It's so good.
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Stan the Fan is in studio with us tomorrow. New Navy football coach Brian Newberry is going to join us on the program tomorrow. Rocky Boyman from WLW out in Cincinnati. He's always our regular. We'll preview the Bengals with him. Bo Smolka, Stuff and Things. Very good. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, the Baltimore County Police Department, Problem Gambling, Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, Costas Inn, the Maryland Jockey Club, Grade 8's Memorabilia, Maryland Vascular Specialist, the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill, UMBC Athletics, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Charles. Charles, are you on social somewhere that people can be following you?
I am on social. Instagram, CharlesAP28. Just me and Young. Making your username after your favorite player, Adrian Peterson.
Because you're a Vikings fan, right? Yeah, we got to get to the bottom of that.
Looking back now,
how's all the heartbreak?
After the things he did after his career, it's a little questionable.
Oh yeah, kind of. I mean, there are worse things that people have done, but yeah.
Oh yeah, but CharlesAP28 on Instagram. Yeah.
All right, very good. Looking forward to having you here throughout the semester. Charles will be getting involved with us. You'll be seeing him do some stuff on our social, and He'll be learning to produce the show. He will be around the way that everybody else, all of the great interns we've had over the years.
I thank the both of you guys for the opportunity, and get ready.
I can't wait to have you. Looking forward to it, man. All right. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Thursday night. Go Maryland, Towson, Loyola, UMBC. Duke sucks. Weekend at Bookies is coming up next.